Hey guys, Matthew here from the mmatt YouTube channel. Curtis and I went flying recently in the Chinook out of Woodstock. The town of Bath had a hot air balloon festival and we thought it would be cool to take off and go look at the balloons from the air, but unfortunately, while it wasn't too windy to be flying in an ultralight, it was too windy for the hot air balloons to go up. So you won't be seeing any hot air balloons in this video. Maybe another time though, because that would be really cool. Basically all we did was just kind of fly around a little bit. Curtis got a little bit of time on the controls from the back seat, as you'll see here in a minute, and then the rest of it was just, fly over Curtis's house, wave to his kids, fly over my parents' house, wave to them, and then fly back and land about 5 minutes before we had to be down on the ground. So we did kind of cut it a little bit close. But, it was still bright enough to see, so it was all good. And like I said, we did land with enough legal light so that we didn't have to worry about any sort of infractions there. But it was a really nice evening. It was a little bit windy. We had about a 15-mile-an-hour headwind on the way upriver, and then about a 15-mile-an-hour tailwind on the way back. So that was kind of nice. We saw some speeds up close to 80 miles an hour over the ground on the way home, so that was kind of cool. You can see from that fire down ahead, the wind is definitely in our face right now. Not a direct headwind, but we definitely were fighting a wind for sure. So this is Curtis flying. He finds, like I do, the Chinook a bit sensitive, and it is a challenging bird to fly. So, but he did really well. He did a couple of turns to the right and to the left, and I'm trying to explain all the different things that you got to be doing whenever you're flying the plane, the rudders and all that stuff. I don't know what I'm pointing at there. I have no idea. I might be directing a symphony or something. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I should have plugged in the voice recorder so I could have heard what we were saying. So here I'm telling him to make a slight turn to the right, as he does. Now I'm telling him you got to pull back on the stick a little bit, as he does. Oh, I think I was trying to tell him to use some sort of visual reference inside the plane and line up on the horizon so you could kind of tell where the plane is level. That is a bit of a challenge with these types of planes with the panel so low. You don't have any sort of reference to the horizon, so it's really hard to tell when the plane's flying level. And oftentimes I'll actually look to my right or to my left and use the wingtip to tell if I'm climbing or descending. Anyway, he had enough of flying, so I was back on the controls, and here we are flying over his house, waving to his kids on the ground and his wife. I think we circle around twice. You'll see the house again here in a second. It's the one that basically the plane is completely covering up. You can see it just underneath the fuselage behind the rear wheel a couple of times. But the camera angle really isn't set up for taking video of things on the ground. It's more to look at the occupants and the plane itself while it's flying. One of his kids wanted to get up in the plane and go flying, and we thought perhaps that if they met us at one of the local airports we could do that, but we looked at the clock and looked at the sunset and decided that no, we just didn't have enough time. But I did see a hayfield that was right behind their house that had just recently been cut, and I pondered for a little while and was tempted to actually put it down in that hayfield, and because it was only a 2-minute drive from the house to that hayfield, his son could have come out and gotten a quick ride in the airplane. But I'll definitely take him up again another time. He's been up in the other plane that I have, and so I think he'd enjoy flying in this one as well. Here's that hayfield I was talking about. So yeah, it looks very much like it's definitely long enough. Looks nice and smooth, and it has been recently cut, so it would have been fine, but just didn't feel like it was the right time to put it down in a field. And I like to talk to the owners before I land in anybody's private property anyway, so I know that once it's cut they don't really care anymore, and four-wheelers go through all the time, and it doesn't really bother them because there's no damage to the crop at that point. But at the same time, it's just courtesy to ask people's permission before you start landing on their private property. This is just across the river now at my parents' place. They have an airstrip on the property that has grown over, and you'll see here in a minute it's grown over to the point where you really can't use it anymore. There it is now at the top of the screen. So it's definitely too narrow and not quite long enough. This back half, and the front half probably would be long enough, but there's a building and wood piles in the way, so it's just not appropriate there either. That's a paintball field that we just flew over. And if you watch up ahead here, you'll see 3 deer in the front part of the runway right there running off into the woods. So maybe I know where I'm going deer hunting this year. So we figure we better beat wings, head back to home base as the sun is dwindling rapidly on the horizon. This is one of the local airstrips. It hasn't been maintained this year. Usually the grass is cut every year, but this year it hasn't been touched yet, so doesn't look like it would be suitable for use right now. Someone's going to have to get out there with a lawn tractor that you can see covered with a tarp right there and get that grass cut again. If I had time, I'd offer to do it myself, just so I had access to that airport again, but I just don't have time for that. I guess that being said, if I wasn't up flying that evening, I could have done it. Could have done it then. I guess I could always make time. Anyway, here we are back at Woodstock Airport, and it's actually quite a bit darker than it looks. It's actually, that's not true. It's actually about what it looks like is how it looked then. The camera, when it recorded it very dark, but I brightened it using the adjustments in the photo editing or video editing software I have to make it look a little brighter. But this is about how bright it was, if I remember right. So anyway, came in nice and low, nice and shallow approach, and set it down just a little bit beyond the numbers there, and don't have brakes. So what I will normally do is just taxi off to the side and let the grass slow me down, but tonight I just ran her down the pavement. Anyway, it was a good night for flying. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. We'll catch you next time.